Life and Death. Not long after Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles were invited to play in a live television programme called Our World. Different countries had to make different parts of the show, and the makers of the programme wanted the Beatles to play for Britain's part. John wrote the song, and on the 25th of June 1967, about 350 million people all around the world watched the programme. The Beatles weren't alone in the television studio. A lot of other musicians played, and it was like a big party. Eric Clapton and Mick Jagger were both there. John's song was perfect for the programme. All You Need Is Love was a mirror for the dreams and hopes of young people around the world in 1967. Story behind the song. At the end of All You Need Is Love, the Beatles joked about two of their old songs. John sang Yesterday, and Paul sang a line from She Loves You. Around this time, George was continuing to learn more about Eastern ideas. He asked John and Paul to listen to a talk by the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in London. The Maharishi was an Indian who taught Eastern ways of thinking. The Beatles wanted to know more. In August, all four of them took a train to Bangor in North Wales. They wanted to spend a few days studying with the Maharishi. A sad sign. Cynthia Lennon wanted to go too, but the usual Beatles crowds were at the train station, and Cynthia missed the train. She watched as her husband left without her. For her, this was a sign of the end of their marriage. While the Beatles were searching for the meaning of life, sad news reached them from London. Brian Epstein was dead. He was one of us, John told a reporter. On the bus. Epstein's death brought another problem. The Beatles knew nothing about business. "We were in trouble then," said John. Ringo has described the band as chickens without heads at that time. In the middle of this difficult time, Paul had an idea. He wanted to make a television film. He was trying to help the band, but in John and George's opinion, Paul was trying to lead them. The idea for the film was simple. 43 people, with the Beatles, drove around the country in a bus. This time, they didn't have a story to act. They just filmed what happened. There was one problem. Nothing really did happen. Magical Mystery Tour was shown on television in Britain just after Christmas 1967. Almost 15 million people watched. They loved the songs, like Paul's The Fool on the Hill and John's I Am the Walrus. But not many people liked the film. The colour film was shown in black and white on television, but this wasn't the reason why it wasn't popular. For some people, it was boring. For others, it was too strange. For the first time, the Beatles really failed. Story behind the song. The idea for I Am the Walrus came from Lewis Carroll's book Alice in Wonderland. John said, "The words don't say a lot." In February 1968, the Beatles travelled to India to study again with the Maharishi. The trip had a different meaning for each of them. Ringo went with 2 suitcases, one of clothes and one of English food in tins.